If you care how much you say you did, then would it be that easy for you to let go? It's a question I used to ask myself and repeat to myself in my head a lot of times in my past. And I want to make this video in regards to a comment I saw regarding how to deal with people seemingly moving forward from us or seemingly moving on as if nothing happened. They might be in a new relationship. I kind of want to make this broader to how sometimes it can feel like people never truly cared. You question how it seems so easy for them to move on, for them to be happy again, and you're sitting here and you're seemingly suffering. Your life is completely falling apart. You're not happy, but they appear so happy. They appear like their life is better without you. And I resonate and relate to that a lot because I once felt like that. I once felt like, dang, was it really what I thought it was? Was this as good of a friendship, as good as of a relationship as it was to me? Was it the same for you? Because it can make you question a lot when people seemingly aren't affected by what you're affected by. It's like, did you really not value this situation to the point that, losing it didn't hurt you? And I'm starting to realize that it's not that it was easy for people to move on and that it was easy for people to let go, but sometimes it was just the easier decision to make the choice that they made. Whatever that choice was, whether to leave the situation, whether to not put any effort into it, whether to not communicate. For me, it was, hey, they decided, hey, they didn't want to communicate. Hey, they didn't want to make certain changes. Hey, they didn't want to take responsibility. And so, I had to become okay with that. But it's not that they forgot about me so easily or moved on so easily. It's more so that they just made the easier decision. I also want people to understand that people aren't just going to instantly forget about you. Your ex or your ex friendship for whatever, they aren't just going to forget about you. They're not going to forget you ever existed. But I'm realizing now that everybody copes in different ways. Some people cope by distracting themselves. Some people cope by not posting anything. Some people cope by just going out and looking for attention from other people. And it's not that they necessarily forgot about you. They're just distracting themselves enough to where they can't think about you. And that's an unhealthy thing to do because they aren't really healing from the situation, and all their situations are just going to repeat itself. But I want you to understand that where you are and you actually feeling the emotions and what you're feeling is an important step, because you don't want to be a person who just moves on so quickly and just goes about finding all these different distractions, coping mechanisms that you never truly heal. Because in the long run and your future relationships, it's going to come back to bite you because you never took the time to heal. You never took the time to actually reflect and learn from your past relationships and things like that. But also, I think we also invest too much of our energy in caring how they feel that we don't even ask ourselves how we feel. Because regardless of how other people felt about the situation, all that really matters is how we feel and how we interpreted it. Because sometimes we have to understand that we move with pure intentions. Like, I had to understand, like, whether this person didn't care as much as I care, whether this person never cared at all and they were faking it and they were just tolerating me, none of that should matter to me, because I know deep down I was being genuine. I know I was genuinely investing my feelings into it. I know I was genuinely trying to care for someone. And so regardless of what their intentions were and whether they were pure or not, I know my intentions were pure. And I feel like in knowing my intentions were pure, that should be a good thing, because that means, hey, the person that really does value me, the person that I end up getting in a relationship in the future with, or the friends I end up getting in relationships with in the future, they're getting a genuine person. They're getting someone who truly cares about them and wants the best out of them. And I should just be proud of myself for moving with good intentions and knowing I'm a good person, because, everybody out here isn't moving with good intentions. And I think that in itself is a valuable characteristic trait to have, because I've come to love myself because I understand the value I hold, because I understand that the type of person I am isn't a common person. Like, I'm a really good friend. I'm a really good person to have in your life. And in knowing that, I understand that I can't give myself to everybody. I got to give myself to people who actually recognize my value and actually appreciate it for what it was. And so I came to terms where, hey, a guy, I don't understand why this person made this decision that they made, but I'm glad you removed it from my life if that's what it truly was. If it appears to be what it appears to be, where, hey, they didn't value as much as I did, or they you know, they didn't truly care and it doesn't really affect them, and, you know, they didn't really invest themselves emotionally into it, you know, I appreciate you for removing me from that situation, because that means it was a situation that wasn't for me. It means it was a situation that was going to pour back into me what I was pouring into it. And so I've really learned to change my perspective, you know, getting rid of people who don't value you, getting rid of people who don't care to put an effort into you, getting rid of people who don't want to show up in the hard times when things aren't always going perfect and always going well. You know, that's something I should be grateful for, because it allows me to get out of a situation where I would hurt myself even more if I allowed myself to stay in it. So I came to terms to start appreciating God and thanking God for removing me out of that situation and situations when he did, because hey, if they didn't truly value me and it wasn't the situation for me, I'm glad I got out of it while I could, to where I could rebuild myself and build new relationships and things like that. But I think it's also important that if you're someone where you find yourself in this like emotional loop of constantly caring what they think, constantly thinking about what they got going on in their life, I think you have to really pay attention to the energy you're giving to that person. I'm a big person where it's like your focus will go wherever your energy flows, or your energy flows wherever your focus goes. And so if you're constantly checking people's social medias, if you're constantly thinking about people, if you're constantly trying to check in on people through friends and things like that, you're constantly worried about what they got going on, if they're happy, if they're feeling the same way in which you do. Like I said, you got to take your focus away from this person and put it onto yourself in a way where you're asking yourself, how can I learn from this situation? How can I grow? How can I build my necessary standards and boundaries so that the past doesn't repeat itself? How can I go about moving forward in life and finding people who are for me? You know, getting my happiness back and feeling myself again. Because a lot of times we get so invested into relationships that we lose track of ourselves. We lose connection with our real self because we started becoming who we needed to be in order to keep that relationship going or keep that friendship going. And so I really want you to start changing your focus towards yourself and stop giving it to other people, because the more you feed that focus and that energy that's going out to other people and what that person all got going on, the more you're going to keep yourself stuck in this emotional loop of not being able to let them go. And I think it's also important to understand that social media is not real. So many of you are thinking people are happy without you, thinking people have moved on solely because of what they're posting or what their friends are telling you. Oh, they in a whole new relationship. They got this new boyfriend, this new girlfriend. Oh, they must be happy. How is it so easy for them to move on? And I'm sitting over here suffering. It's like, you got to understand, social media is 30 seconds of a person's life. I can go on social media right now and post a picture of me smiling, but really I'm so tired right now. Like, I'm so like emotionally tired or just like mentally tired to where I want to go to sleep. Like, social media can be so fake, and it can give off the impressions of people's lives that aren't even real. Some people just want to appear a certain way because that's the person who they've always shown up as, or that's who people expect them to be. You ever seen the class clown and the person who seems to always be laughing and always be smiling? Those tend to be the most miserable people, because it would be out of their character and out of the expectation that others have of them for them to express themselves, for them to show that, hey, they do have feelings, they do have emotions. Because for the longest time, they've always shown up as a person who never was sad or never was unhappy or was always had a smile or always had a joke to tell. And so it would be out of their character and out of the expectations that others might have of them for them to all of a sudden be vulnerable, all of a sudden be sad. And it would throw people off, because that's not the person that they're used to. And so some people, again, come off a certain way, but really deep down and behind closed doors, they're suffering the most mentally. They're going through the worst at home and stuff like that. It's like we never truly know the whole story of what people are going through. And so although people might seem like they're doing okay without you, although people might on social media make it seem like everything's going fine in their life and they're just going about through the motions and just, moving forward and it's nothing to them, that's a lot of times not the reality of the situation. But again, does it truly matter? How do you feel about the situation? That's all that truly, truly matters. Again, just focusing on yourself. And I would even argue, like, if you're trying to move on from someone, you really shouldn't even have them on social media, because if you can't have that discipline to emotionally detached from that person while having them on social media, you're constantly checking in on them, you're constantly looking at their stories or waiting for them to post a story and stuff like that, then again, you're going to keep yourself emotionally attached and wondering why you're unable to let go of something that you keep giving your energy to. Even if that person one day does find a new relationship or does find new friends or whatever, understand that nobody is better than you. I think too often we get caught up in comparing ourselves to other people's lives to where we almost see other people as better than us in some way, shape, or form, or we start asking the question, what can they provide that I was unable to provide? Or we start saying, well, I did all these different things, that I'm better than him. It's like, I had to learn to really just always give out love, always learn to appreciate people and want to see people be happy, even if it's without me, because I came to understand and I developed the mindset that I'm not for everybody and not everybody's going to be for me, or that not everybody that comes into our life is meant to be permanent, and that some people truly are for a season, and that some people come into our lives temporarily and they build us into a better version of ourselves so that we can go out and meet other people that are meant for us. And so in knowing that and having that mindset, it's like, I hope I serve my purpose in your life, and I hope you're able to find the people who truly are for you. I hope you're able to build the relationships that are for you. Although in my mind, I expected it to be what we had, I wish you the best moving forward, because clearly, our situation wasn't the best, or it wasn't the idea or what I thought it was supposed to be. And so in that, I wish you love, and I wish nothing bad on the people that you do move forward, because I think you can really get in a place of either hating other people and having a lot of jealousy, or also just hating yourself through comparing what you had to what they have now, or what their situation appears like to where you are in your current life. And I had to come to understand to both forgive myself, but also not blame others, because I did the best, or you did the best with what you could in that moment, with the knowledge that you had in that moment, in that relationship when it was going on. And regardless of what led up to it ending, you can't change anything about it. And that's why it's so important that you change your focus onto yourself and reflecting on, okay, how can I become better? What can I do differently? Not to get them back, or not to become the person that you think they want you to be, but more so for yourself moving forward in your relationships. That's why it's so important that we center our self-improvement and our self-growth around ourselves and improving for ourselves rather than improving for other people, because I feel like sometimes we try to improve ourselves in order to get other people to regret the decisions that they made towards us, which then when they don't give us that attention that we're looking for, we almost disappoint ourselves, because we had this expectation that they would take us back if we became this specific person. So I know I had to get to a place where it was like, I did the best with what I could. I did the best thing that I felt was best for me in that moment. And, hindsight, I might have some slight regrets. I might see some areas in which I could have improved in. But at the end of the day, if somebody didn't care enough to see you through your flaws, see you through your imperfections, and that was the reason that they decided to leave or give up on you, then that's on them. I can only control what I can control. I can choose to grow from the situation, and whether they give me an opportunity to grow from that situation is on them. But let's just say, they weren't happy in the situation, or they say, I wasn't doing all these things in which they wanted me to do, or I didn't have this materialistic thing. That's not my responsibility. Nobody can force me to grow. I can only grow at a pace. I don't want anybody who expects perfectionism out of me, or perfection out of me, because that's simply an unrealistic expectation. I don't want people to expect me to be at a certain point in my life that I'm simply not at. Certain things, like everybody's journey of growth is differently. We're all at different stages. And if you can't accept me for the stage in which I'm at, then, I don't want nothing to do with you, and you're just not a person for me. But say, hey, they want, I have no control over my height, or I have no control over whether I'm at a college right now for a specific sport. So, even if they do move on to someone who might have all these different qualities and all these different traits, whether it's money, whether it's a specific car, whether it's they're a sport athlete, whether they're a specific height, at the end of the day, that's why self-love is so important, and self-acceptance is so important, because You can't allow other people and the value they see in you to determine the value you see within yourself. You know, at the end of the day, I know I'm a good person. Again, I know I'm a rare person that people would love to have in their life. And so if people decide to leave my life or decide they don't want anything to do with me based on factors that are out of my control, or even factors that are in my control, but you know, I just haven't learned yet, then again, that is on them, and they're simply not somebody that's for me, nor somebody that's for you. But also know this point, that you are not responsible for the feelings of other people. Some people expect you to always be the person that they want you to be. Some people always expect you to show up for them and provide to them what they are unable to provide to themselves. Some people always expect you to provide happiness to their life and always suck up to them and meet their expectations that they have of you. And again, it's really not good to be in relationships or deal with people who need you, because then you're, in their eyes, they're always expecting something out of you. And the moment that you aren't meeting that expectation or you aren't meeting those needs, then they'll be ready to cut you loose, because again, you aren't being the person that they want you to be. So I want you to understand that you're not responsible for other people's happiness. You're not responsible for other people's peace. You're not responsible for other people's self-esteem and making them feel like they're worthy and making them feel like they're deserving. You know, people have to develop a relationship with themselves, and they have to be okay with themselves and accepting of themselves, because if not, then they will always depend on other people to supply those things for them. And the minute you aren't supplying those things for them, they'll be ready to let you go. But, you know, I appreciate and love you guys as always. Be sure to sign up for this community. I'm dropping very, very soon. Join the wait list. It is down in the description. You don't want to miss out on it. If you're someone who struggles with, if you're someone who's in a season of letting go and you find yourself struggling to move forward, you don't know what steps to take, this is a community that's going to be for you. And you don't want to miss out on it when I drop it. So join the wait list down below, and I'll have more updates on it soon. But yeah, go cop a hoodie on willkeepereal.com. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.